This is 2OF Entertainment.
Well, here we go. It's the man that promises you nothing and delivers. It's the veritable man motor mouth. It's Road Woods who feels the need to call himself Rob Vega. It somehow makes him feel important. Anyway, do have a listen and try not to throw up.
Hey, and here we is. We're live.
Yeah,
All of us together.
there he
Back
is.
together. The Three Muscatels.
In darkest Africa. Hello, everyone. Okay,
Hello.
lovely to see you all.
Ah,
Yes.
Back from the dead. The Queen.
Wow. No, not yet. It's like Phil Collins, not dead yet. Yes.
Not dead
That was the
yet.
name of his show, right?
That's true. Not dead yet.
Hmm.
I like Phil Collins. Phil Collins was I like when he was with I guess who.
With who?
Wasn't he with the Who?
No, Genesis.
Genesis. Yeah, close enough. Genesis, the Who. They all sound the same in the same.
Wow. Wow.
What?
The Who and Genesis.
Yeah.
I mean, that's different universes right there. But
Yeah. I like the
Okay.
Who. I'm sorry. I like the Who.
whatever puts bubbles in your jacuzzi.
Yeah. Well, I would have
Fine.
thought actually. I would have thought actually you would have liked Genesis because it refers to one of your old books. You know, so
Who are you
so
talking
could
to?
to Stephen, so he could actually
Oh.
claim it as being his own.
Right.
First of all, that really
Genesis.
technically wasn't one of the books. If you go back millions of years and
Ah.
read the other tablets, they
There
stole
we
that
go.
from other
There
stories.
we go.
Yeah, let's not go off on that tangent again. UFOs and how the people don't know what's going
Yeah,
on. in the world.
chemtrails, Jewish
Yeah.
space lasers. Do you want to talk
Whoa,
about
whoa,
those?
whoa. First of all, the Jewish space lasers, that's true. So let's not.
Is that
I saw
true?
them.
Yeah,
I
that's
saw
right.
them. Yeah. I saw
Hang
them
on.
yesterday.
Can I get one?
For a small fee, I have a book. We can make sure that you get it. So
Okay. I would love to have a Jewish space laser. I really would.
later
I think
today,
I
because
saw
I
one
mean, if
yesterday.
they're true, they're fantastic. If
Yeah.
the stories are true, fabulous. So yes, hook me up. Thank you,
I'll
Steve.
get you straight. The nice thing is, before the debate tonight, we have a call with Biden and Trump, and they're both asking if they can get Jewish space lasers
Okay.
before the
Do
debate.
you deliver? Do you deliver to this part of the world though?
We deliver. You know what's the nice thing about Jewish space lasers? We deliver anywhere you want. We're like Federal Express. Absolutely, positively, you can get it to you overnight.
All right.
It's like a friend of mine's daughter when she
Set
goes
off.
on a
All right.
date. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just looking at my shopping list now. So Jewish space lasers, I can
Yeah,
just
put that on your list. You don't want to miss out.
Okay, we're just expecting. What is it? COD, cash on delivery? Is that right?
No, you pay in advance. We're Jews.
Do you? Ah.
I see. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice
So
try,
that's
though.
faith payments, hey? All right, got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
We,
Okay.
and we accept
all right.
and we accept crypto algorithms. So there
I
you
bet
go.
you do.
You can
I
go on
bet
the
you
dark
do.
web and you can buy as many space lasers as you'd like.
I just
So,
need
yeah.
one. One's fine.
Okay. Well,
I'm good.
it doesn't hurt to
I'm
have
not
an
greedy.
arsenal. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Must
And
spot
they've-
10. So,
They've been using them at the Euros. So they've been pointing
Right. Right.
space lasers at the football players
Sure. Yeah. Good.
in their faces.
Well, I mean, if you're going to buy one, then you might as well use it, right?
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah,
the point of
big
buying
one.
one if you don't use it? So that's great.
Jewish
Howard.
space lasers. Thank God that.
What are
we-
we talking about here? God.
What do you want to talk about today? We have the presidential.
Well, okay. So,
Okay.
Pigs in space. We
it
talked about.
began, the thought process began with politics. Then I thought, do we talk about American politics or the local politics here in South Africa? I was concerned that perhaps people might not be interested. And then it got me into another train of thought. I obviously lived there for a while. I've lived in I'm from the UK, I'm in South Africa. And what I did find, this might be an interesting place to start. What I did find is when I lived in the US, which is the world's largest economy, they've got access to all kinds of information.
Space
I
lasers.
found this was an interesting thing. I'm not saying this is true, but this was my experience. I found because you can say what you like about America, but pretty much everything is there. You can have things delivered. It's a world in itself. It is. It's very well organized. There's a lot of money,
Right.
and you don't actually really need to give a shit about the rest of the world, right? So you don't. I mean, I'm just putting it out there. You really don't, because why? Because you've kind of got everything, and the thing that I found is unintentionally. I mean, the people that when I lived there were great. They were just like me with a different accent, and whatever, their provenance is a bit different, but they were the same kind of people. But there was no desire within them to really get to know the rest of the world. They'll look at stuff in the news. Oh, yeah, that's bad, and that's bad. But there wasn't really any motivation. And it's not their fault. I'm not blaming anybody. But if I lived there, I mean, why would I give a shit about the rest of the world? When I was there, I started to shut myself off from the world. And I thought, everything I need is here.
Right.
This is where the money is. The action is here. It's all good. And I don't know if that's true of everybody, but I remember once watching a Graham Norton interview, and he had 2 American guests, and then he had a Canadian, who was Ryan Reynolds. He had Kevin Burns, the comedian. He had a bunch of guests from all other so-called colonies.
Right.
And what's interesting is that the humor, the accents, and everything between everybody that wasn't American, they could all kind of understand each other. Oh, Chris Thor, what's his name? Chris, what's his guy?
Helmsworth.
Helmsworth was there as well. So
Yeah,
you've got an Aussie, you've got a Canadian, you had a couple of, you had a is it a Scotsman? You had, and a few folks from the UK, and then I think it was Lily Tomlin was there.
Oh, wow.
And what was interesting was how connected everybody that wasn't American was. They all they understood each other's accents, they got each other's humor. And Lily Tomlin, who is essentially, I guess, a comedian, was she was great. Don't get me wrong. She's a smart woman, but she didn't get a lot of what they were saying. She didn't get the accents. She found the accents difficult to understand. And then I thought to myself, yes, because within the US, which is a massive country, you don't need to. There's no need. You don't have to. I'm not having a go at Americans, you understand? I'm not doing that. It's just that they're not like British actors and South African actors and Australian actors can easily easily do an accent, the American accent,
Right.
or variations of it quite easily. But it's very unusual. Americans find it much harder. And the reason being, it's not because they're less capable. They just don't get exposed to it. They don't see it. They don't need to see it.
You're
Whereas
making
the rest,
excuses for them.
the rest, no, just hold it. It's an interesting exercise. The rest of the world watches American stuff, sees it, knows what's going on. Everyone knows Biden, Trump. I guarantee you, how many Americans know who Jacob Zuma is, Cyril Ramaphosa, Julius Malema, all these people? Yeah, you do, but you're not typical, Stephen. What I'm saying is the ordinary bloke in those like Australia, Canada, the UK, the US, South Africa, we'll take those countries and see what they know about each other and who their political players are. Everybody here knows who Trump is. Everybody in this country knows who Biden is. They do. They just do. And they probably know a lot of the other players like Mike Johnson and so on and so forth. The reverse, I didn't find was true. I didn't find that was true. People were, they didn't need to know, but everybody's watching America. What do you think? I'm just starting the conversation.
I think you're making a big excuse for Americans because they're stupid. Full stop. They're stupid. Americans are
the record, I never said that. I never said that.
You did. You said it off there. I'm just kidding. David says it all the time. No. Here's the point. Americans are stupid.
Okay.
They don't learn. We don't have an educational system. We don't have people that teach. We have nothing. Americans have their heads so far stuck up their ass, which is exactly why we have the fucking morons that are running for president right now. We've got an idiot and an idiot. It's the lesser of two idiots, right? It's Dumb and Dumber, but in the real world, you've got two idiots that are talking about putting tariffs, doing this, doing that, doing that. I just read a whole economic report last night that said that whether idiot number one or number two gets in, that America is going to end up in either in a recession or worse, a depression, which we're really already in from 2008. We never got out of because people are too stupid to say that, but they're afraid. And the average cost for the families in America are going to go up somewhere between $1,700 and $3,000 a year because of Dumb and Dumber. So no, Americans are the dumbest fucking people on the planet. And I don't care how well you think our technology is and how whatever, but they're the most unfriendly. They're dumb, and they have their head stuck up their ass because they think America's the best country on the planet. Because A, they've never traveled, and B, they don't know jack shit. So there you go.
All
Did I
right.
paraphrase for you?
But what about gasoline at $2 then? Because that's what the orange man's going to give Americans back.
No, we can't. How are you going to give?
Yeah.
You can't give gasoline at $2.
That's what he said.
Guys,
Okay.
this wasn't meant to be an attack on Americans, and I
Oh, you've done a really good job. You've done teeing him up, of course.
yes, it wasn't supposed to be that. It was supposed to be
A happy time.
presenting a situation. It's
Right.
kind of like, let me put it this way: when you were an older kid, when you're the older kid,
Yeah.
you know you're the kids in your class and above you, but you don't know the kids below you. All right.
Yeah.
Now I'm saying, for me, America was a bit like that. In other words, they're like the kid, rightly or wrongly, who's in the senior class, and they just worry about the kids above them or in their class. They're not worried about the little junior kids or what they perceive to be the junior kids.
Right.
And I'm saying, for people like you, Stephen, who've traveled, that's a different story. I've got my friend Darren, who travels regularly to Sweden and around the Europe, and his view is obviously different from the typical the American you portray. I'm saying, I'm not saying anybody's stupid, and I'm not saying anybody's brilliant. I'm saying it's a pity. I'm sure you are. I'm saying it's a pity. As someone who's traveled and I think I've got perspective. I've seen people look, there's plenty of stupid people here too. So no worries. You've not cornered the market on stupidity. I guarantee you that. We've got some idiots running for office here because the voters are also less informed, should we say.
Right.
Just leave it with that. But I'm saying it's interesting how when I first went there, yes, I had this perception of what America was, and I still think it's got a lot going for it, and there were some amazing people that built it. I think to some extent that some of the people there that are there now, not all of them, some of them they're a product of what was a very successful country, very successful. Whether you think they're idiots or not, Steve, that's not the thing. I'm saying a lot of things have been done by America, and what happens is it's almost like the next generation are going, yeah, we'll take that and we'll enjoy that, but it's almost like they haven't added to it. They haven't done what the previous generations have done, and it's like they've got everything, so they don't need anybody else. So they could. The accent thing is the thing that highlights it for me. Actors around the world can do a variety of American accents, but the reverse is not true. Why is that? Why is that? And I'm saying to you, it's because everything is kind of, rightly or wrongly, I'm not defending or attacking Americans in any way. I'm saying that we've got what we need. We've got what we need. We're fine. Whether it's bad or good, whether it's Biden, Trump, whether the gasoline is $2, $3, $4 about whatever. We've got our situation, and we don't actually need to care about the rest of the world. They always said the New York Stock Exchange catches a cold and the rest of the world catches influenza because everyone is so dependent on that. And maybe it's built in. They think we're number one. We don't need to worry about anybody else. And I'm not saying it's bad or good. You have to understand what I'm saying. It's just an interesting observation, so that it's almost like there's a disconnect. I found America, when I lived there, strangely isolated. That's what I wanted to say. It seems it's not geographically, it's almost like a cultural isolation, because they don't need to be connected, or they don't think they need to be. They don't need to worry about what everybody else is doing, but everybody's worried what they do. That's what I'm saying. It's a perception. Is it true? It's an opinion, not saying it's a fact. That's all.
Well, after the election, go ahead, David.
I think America has been asleep at the wheel. I'd have to agree with you, Roll, that they had it too good for too long, and they don't. You don't have to look over your shoulder. But while they continuously just chewing gum and consuming Coca-Cola, the rest of the world has been sort of slowly creeping up behind them. Some nice parts of the world and some really bad parts of the world. And
I'm not saying it's number one. I'm not saying it's number 100. I think perhaps what looking to the future, like this country as well. This is not, again, Oh, I think it's a good country. I think it could be a lot better, as I'm sure a lot of Americans think too. It could be a lot like Steve. It could be better, obviously, but I can promise you it's better than most. There are a lot of really shitty countries around the world. You can get away with a lot in America, which you can't get away with in the world. There's things you can say. You can attack your president. You can do all that. You can't do that in many parts of the world.
Soon you won't be able to attack if Trump wins. You won't be able to attack the president. Then Trump is going to take out. He's already said he's going to go after all his enemies. Trump is going to run this as a dictatorship. It'll be the end of democracy. This will be no better than Thailand, and where you can't say anything about. And I like Thailand, but you can't say anything wrong about the ruling family, which there's no reason to because it's a paradise. It'll be like the UAE and all the other places. You cannot, and Saudi Arabia, you won't be able to say anything bad about the ruler.
But right now.
Yeah, but here's the problem. In theory, that's still not true. Because what ends up happening is if someone says something bad about the government or the whatever, it's all of a sudden, they're under investigation for this. They're under investigation for that. They get audited by the IRS. So in theory, yes, we have this speech freedom. But if you're like, nobody watches our show. We know that. A couple thousand people. We have 100,000 subscribers. So nobody cares what we say. But if we had 300 million subscribers and 50 million people watching this, trust me when I tell you, anytime we criticize, there'd be people at our door, or they'd be like, oh, we're going to go back and do this, or we're going to look at that. So yeah, if you grow larger, you have issues. Yeah, I hate to tell you, we live in an Orwellian country. We live in an Orwellian country, and it's an Orwellian world. And what people don't seem to grasp is that America, at one point, yes, we were a superpower. We were the beacon of freedom and the beacon of democracy. And when I travel abroad,
don't forget the best imperialist power at the point.
Thank you. But when you travel the globe and you say somebody, where are you from? You go, America. They literally look at you like your country sucks. Like now, like there used to be when I would travel 20, 30 years ago, people are like, oh, America, yay, America, oh, love America. Now when I travel, people are like America, big fucking deal. Like you're pieces of shit. And we're like, yeah, we know. Like you can't defend the stupid.
That's not good. That's not good.
You can't defend your country anymore. It's not like I could go listen. There's a bump in the road. There's just when you have stupid Congress people and stupid senators and they're making spectacles of themselves, and you have Dumb and Dumber running because they literally want the Nazi party or the democracy. You cannot defend this country anymore. We are no better than China. We're no better than Russia. And if the orange guy wins, we'll be Russia. So this is going to be a problem. If the orange guy wins, you're going to have a war in Asia, hands down. That's an easy because you're going to pull out of Taiwan, and China's going to be like, okay. The other problem now you have is because of the election coming up. You've got Putin and the missile boy making a pact. And
is that not a good thing to pull out of Taiwan? Because I
never pulled out of a Taiwanese. Anyway, no, because you can't pull out. Here's the problem you have.
Well, yeah, because you remember he spent all that money getting that mega chip factory made.
It never got built. Yeah. So here's the problem.
So
you have North Korea and Russia who just signed an aggression pact. So in theory, right now, as Russia's invading the Ukraine, in theory, if somebody would go after Russia, North Korea, in theory, has to step in, which means people need to attack now North Korea. If you attack North Korea now, you have more of a not a regional, but more of a global conflict about that, because South Korea and China now are very worried about this. So, and because America now is becoming an ostrich, and because we're not the greatest superpower in the world anymore, and we don't have this, this is an issue. So as Americans like to stick their head up their asses or in the sand, pick whatever you feel, there's a problem, because since they don't read and they don't know and they don't this, and they're going by, I'm going to make $2 a gallon gasoline. Hey, you want my vote? Make it 29 cents. Okay. I mean, this is where the issues are. And this is why when you say, no, it's a stupid place. Unfortunately, we're getting dumber by the day.
All right.
And that's
so let me, all right, then that's, and just for the record, I am not espousing any points of view. I am not, there's no attack being leveled at anybody. That's not that was not the purpose. It was merely to look at how, what you rightly described as this, I mean, it is, it's done amazing things, and it's a great country, and there's some brilliant people there. And one has to say why.
Given the
Why
world Taylor Swift.
when did it become, or when did it become so cut off, and why would that be? Why is it a sense of a superiority complex? Is it ignorance? Is it lack of a need to have to engage with the rest of the world? I'm not sure what it is. I just think if that is the case, then that's bad, because then if America's not fulfilling that role as, people can call what they like, the beacon of hope, independence, of liberty, then who will? Who is the new one? The good
China's
guy?
been doing it for the last 20 years. When we used to do deals in South America, I'd come across their Belt and Road projects all the time. We were dealing with governments, and I'd be like, hey, we can do this, and blah, blah. And they go, but China's going to offer me $18 trillion.
That's money,
like
Steve.
1%.
Sorry. I understand the money part of it,
Right.
but I'm saying as the world adult, who would that be?
There's no world adult anymore. There's none. There's nobody. As much as I love the UAE. And
You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I got it. There's no world adult.
Some place of sanity.
There's no place anymore. You have countries like the UAE and Monte Carlo. All the billionaires are running there because it's like that's the most sane place and safe right now. You've got Thailand, which is okay. But if you're looking for someone to stand up and put their big boy pants on, a country, there is none. America, at least when Ronald Reagan was president, the Democrats and Republicans, or the donkeys and elephants would speak. They'd have, Reagan would have them for poker and beer and cigars. Even Clinton did that. And then somewhere we lost. We lost this bipartisanship. And we became like a fake news country and all this other crap. And I'm not blaming Mr. Obama, but I think it started in his tenure because of the Orange Man, right? So we had this crossover. We had Fox News. So what ended up happening, instead of bringing the country together, like, look, we have not that I care the color of his skin, but look, we have a black president. Yay, congratulations. It became, we have a black president. Oh, that's terrible. Where's your birth certificate type of thing. That's pathetic. And because Americans are stupid, the ones that were like with the orange guy going, oh yeah, where's your birth certificate? Oh, that's a conspiracy. This is where I think the downfall started, and that is a problem. And because that's a problem, we haven't elevated the country. We haven't elevated our politics. What we've done is we've made it dumber and dumber. When you watch our Senate or Congress people on public TV, they're arguing and fighting with each other. They're threatening each other. Senate hearings now is better than when I used to watch as a kid, and I still watch it on TV, the British Parliament, because they're like, they basically riff for 4 hours. It's hysterical. Our Senate and Congress hearings now are the same, where senators are calling witnesses stupid and this and that, and witnesses have no respect for the Congress or the Senate, and they're calling them idiots. That was never, even if I thought you were an idiot, if I was in front of Congress or the Senate, I would still be respectful, and they would be respectful. Now the gloves are off, and we're losing that, and that makes us not the adult.
Okay, I want to just we're just stirring the pot here. That's all we do. That's all we do. It's interesting that you brought up the British Parliament, because I've always watched it, and I find it. I actually enjoy it, and I'll tell you why. I think you may have touched on something here, because again, not all Americans, just some. Your Congress people, blah blah blah.
Right.
One thing, there is a cultural difference. Look, the UK has got myriad of problems, so no one's even saying we're better or anything like that. But I'm saying one thing I will say for British parliamentarians, if you watch them in Parliament or Lords or Commons, is even the one. House of Commons is the one. There is, and maybe it's an English thing, I don't know, but there's an innate ability to be able to disagree with someone vociferously, like really, but it never gets personal. It does not get personal. You can find, in fact, it's not just an English thing. It's a Scottish thing. It's definitely an Irish thing, where people mates can fight with each other. They stay mates. I can't explain it. What I find, and I find this in a lot of debate shows that I've watched on American TV, and now it's creeping into the mainstream situation, Congress, and now it's in the politics. You don't have to agree with each other. There's this idea that you have to all be on the same. You don't, but you need to be able to respect each other. And I think perhaps that is what has broken down the bipartisanship. I'm just putting it to you that perhaps what I've found in American debates, and you can shoot me down if I'm wrong, that's fine. But I'm just suggesting it. This is just a suggestion. When I see debates going wrong in America, everyone just gets louder. They're not introducing more evidence. They're not introducing another argument. If you watch British politics, there are additional arguments that are being introduced. The volume does not go up. It stays high, and it's almost comical. It's almost comical.
Oh, no, it is comical.
Backbenchers with smiles on their faces. It's almost a game to them in the British Parliament. Whereas in American politics, they get so bloody personal to the point where you've crossed lines, and now we can't talk. Now you've become personal. Now I can't work with you. You're a Democrat. You're a Republican. Who gives a shit? But it becomes so.
Maybe that's one of the fundamental issues in the US.
It's so tribal.
This tribalism, where people run out of words, and and have started. Words go away, bullets go into guns. There's no in between, it would seem.
Sorry, I wanted to say one more thing before you carry on. One more thing. This is a point, and then you carry on. What I find with just talking about Congress people and British parliamentarians, we're just looking at the way our lawmakers disagree with each other. When you see a debate in the House of Commons, Boris Johnson used to do it with a smile on his face. Keir Starmer does it with a smile on his face. So does Rishi Sunak. They all smile. They're actually smiling. It's the craziest thing. But you do get the impression they have come prepared. They have got things they know they're going to get quizzed on, and they bounce back. And they present the argument, and they sit down. Someone else gets up and sits down. It is quite formal. It's very, there's still, even though it gets quite heated, and obviously the what's his face, the chap that runs the House of Commons, Speaker, and shut them down. I can't explain it. It's almost comical, but they have come prepared. What I find with a lot of debates across the pond is I've got a couple of stats and figures, and if you don't agree with them, then you're a piece of shit. And that's the problem. It's very confrontational as opposed to debating. Does that make sense? I mean,
so tonight,
if you and I chatted, and I would listen to what you say, then I would respond. Then you hear what I say, then you respond. I don't just speak louder and louder and louder. That's not communicating.
So tonight we have the debate. This show will air on Sunday, so unfortunately we'll get to talk about the debate, which next Thursday I'm sure we will. So one of the rules of this debate is that the microphones after your time is done will be turned off, because what they don't want is the orange man to be screaming as he screams at everybody. But to talk about the debates, you are correct. What ends up happening, instead of someone saying it's 42, no, it's 45, it's 40, how is it 40? And explaining their position, there's a problem. The other problem I think with our debates here is that, first of all, you have 42 idiots on the stage. That's stupid. You need maybe 3 or 4 people. A debate can't be 90 minutes. A debate should be 4 or 5 hours like Parliament. And you know what? You sit there almost like Parliament, and you literally say, today's topic is X. And you have Biden talk for 5 or 7 minutes, and you have then Trump talk for 5 or 7 minutes. And then if they want to rebuttal, they rebuttal, and they're great, we're all good. Let's go to the next one. But they won't do that. Politics in America is now like, can we get ratings? Can we make the people watch? What can we get from it? It's like a YouTube short or a TikTok video. And that's the problem. No one's taking it seriously. And the 5 or 6 people that do take it seriously can't influence the 30 or 300 million people we have that don't give a shit. And that's what the problem is. And this debate tonight is going to be the Marx Brothers. And it's going to be Dumb and Dumber, grumpy old men. So unless Biden is taking a young pill and he's going to come out swinging, then it'll be Joe Biden being Joe Biden, and it'll be Donald Trump being Donald Trump, and everyone will turn off the debate in about 5 minutes because it'll be like, it's been here, done that.
Okay, so
Well,
this is probably going to air after the debate. So the dust will have been settled, by then. But
Yeah.
all I want to say is this: to your point about these two people, individuals, I actually ran a story on them. You know, my fake thing. See, there it is, breaking news, whatever.
Yeah.
And I said, obviously it's fake. Fake news is that they're going to have a debate. They're going to have the debate, and there will be different rules for each of the two men. So Joe Biden will have. I said they're going to do like a Ninja Warrior.
Yeah.
Obviously, guys, this is a joke, just to be clear. So, if I remember correctly, I had Biden navigating a flight of stairs, knowing where he was, and remembering what his name was. Trump had 5 minutes in which he had to not say anything and stay in his seat and just keep a cool composure. And then it wraps up saying it's going to be tense. America waits. Boom, and that was my reporter. But I think the problem with, because I hear these things saying what should Biden do with Trump and what should Trump do with Biden. Well, the thing for me, which I would be interested to hear what you say, is for me, all that Biden, if I was a voter, and the problem is I'm not, but if I was a voter, and maybe I don't represent the people there, true. But if I was a voter and I saw these two men and I was trying to decide which one to vote for, all Biden has to do, and this is the crazy thing, I know he's an old man, and this is the weird part, behave like one. Come with the gravitas of an old man. Don't respond. Ignore what he says. But the problem is they feel the need to respond to each other. I want to see a man that doesn't respond, that doesn't care, that says, actually ignores.
Want to roll the conversation?
Yeah, but he ignores what he said, and then he just puts his point across. But unfortunately, if you're a voter and you're watching this and ostensibly trying to figure out who to vote for, which I don't think it actually makes much of a difference, but if it did, what you would want from the more senior politician, the stable one, is to literally ignore his opponent.
Right.
It doesn't, like he's not there. Like just blah, 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 blah. This is what I'm going to do. Blah, blah, blah. And then I'm going to do this. It's as simple as that. But they don't seem, either of them don't seem capable of doing that. Just ignore Donald Trump or ignore Biden. What is your plan? What do you, don't worry about the other guy. But that's what as someone outsider, that's what I don't see. Forget the other guy. I'm not there to worry about the other guy. What do you do? What are you going to do?
Roll back the conversation a bit, because you had this, you were talking about the House of Commons, you were talking about how it's all structured, and you talked about the debates in the US. Now, last night in the UK, they had a one-to-one debate.
Yes.
And it went totally pear-shaped, simply because the woman who was in charge of it, let's say the chairperson, very accomplished journalist, nothing wrong with that, but there was no structure around it. And the thing about the House of Commons is there are rules, very clear rules.
Yes.
You have time to say, and there is totally somebody independent. The speaker says, no, that's it, end of it. And that's why you have these interesting and sometimes very constructive conversations, even there is sometimes an awful lot of venom in the air.
Yeah.
But they had the 5 questions they can ask, and then when you've asked them, somebody else who's slightly lower down in a political ranking, because of the amount of seats they have in Parliament, get 3 questions to ask, and then some other parties only get 1. But you could see last night that given any politician who go every Wednesday toe to toe, Sunak and Starmer, and they're always very structured and very polite, and are willing to listen to the speaker who says to this point and not any further. Take that structure away, and it's total anarchy, and they're just like a couple of boxers slugging it out. So, yeah, who's strong enough outside of a political framework to enable anybody to have a decent debate?
Jiminy Glick. Jiminy Glick should be the one who moderates all the debates going forward.
Yeah.
You know who Jiminy Glick is? Jiminy Glick?
Enlighten us.
You don't know who Jiminy Glick is?
Maybe I do. Enlighten us. Enlighten me.
Jiminy Glick just interviewed Bill Maher about his book on his show.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Jiminy Glick. Yes, Martin Short's character,
okay.
Jiminy Glick, should be the moderator for all debates in America now going forward. He should be the one, because his lack of caring, lack of knowledge, and lack of everything would be perfect for what we have as a political party here. Jiminy Glick should be the moderator.
But like I say, it's not about the time; it's about the amount of questions you can ask.
Yeah,
but
to Dave's point, as you said, Dave, I think you've actually answered the question. I don't think maybe there isn't that much of a difference. Maybe there's not that much of a difference between the two, but what both sides of the pond need is a big ass adult in the room with a big stick who runs the show. Whether it's the UK or the US, both sides. If you're going to put two idiotic politicians in a debate together, you need someone with a big stick saying, right, you got 60 seconds. And on 61, and when it gets to the 61st second, they take out the big stick and they hit them on their hand. Boom, you're done. Sit down. You need that. You need someone who literally has that.
And this is the crazy thing, isn't it? Because
you need that.
I think the reporters, they all want to be able to sit in front of politicians again, so they're all mindful of tomorrow. Whereas the speaker in the House.
Screw that.
Yeah, but
wait. You know who should run the debate? You know who should do
Jiminy
it?
Glick? Who?
Him? No, I got a better one.
Yeah.
My friend who did the Golden Globes. I want that attitude.
Ricky Gervais?
I don't give a shit. Donald Trump, sit your fat ass down. Use that language. I don't care because you're disrespecting me. Now sit up. In fact, leave the room. Go. If you can't behave,
as funny as that would be,
it would be brilliant.
The best debate ever. And this will require people to actually read a book. It's called the Lincoln Douglas debates. When Lincoln was running against a black gentleman named Douglas, and I've read the book's yay thick, and it's a great read. It's called the Lincoln Douglas debates.
Lincoln. Really?
Yeah, Lincoln Douglas debates. You can read their speeches and how they did, and it was eloquent that they would go off on, like Lincoln would read his part, and it could be 5 minutes or 2 hours long, and then Douglas would read his part, and then when he was done, Lincoln would do his part. The Lincoln Douglas debate is really what we need to go back to. This 30-second soundbite world we live in, or now 15 seconds because of TikTok is screwing it up. As much as I would love Ricky Gervais to moderate a debate, listen. I think you put Ricky Gervais and Jiminy Glick in monitoring a debate. Number one, as stupid as that sounds, I bet you'd get a good debate because you need that. You need a comic that can basically go fuck yourselves.
What you need is someone who has almost no dog in the fight.
Correct.
You guys are like me. If I never do this again, I don't give a shit. But now, I am here. You've got your 60 seconds, Joe, Donald, and you're done. Blah, blah. Yeah. And if you can't behave, we will escort you out the room, stick you in a soundproof box, and when the other guy's finished, we'll bring you back. And we will
who's got the cojones to do that? Because there's always
that's what you need. Yeah, that's what you need. If you're going to have,
you may never work again, or you may never get a green card.
That's my point. That is my point, Dave. That is the truth. That is what this debate and every political debate needs, and people need to support the person doing it, because that is the way. If a politician is going to behave like a child, then you treat them like a child. It doesn't matter what their title is or who the hell they think they are or how much money their daddy has got. I've always felt that's what people want. They want a politician who isn't bought by anybody, right? They don't want that. Yeah. They want to hear what that person has to say, and that's all they want. They don't want this theatrics, the rolling of the eyes, the interrupting. That's what children do. You wouldn't let your child behave like that. Why would you let the goddamn so-called leader of the free world behave like that? Or someone who wants to be that? It's a big deal. It's a really important position. It affects the world. So you need someone with a big stick. You mandate someone. You give them that mandate. If these people can't shut up, you have our permission to make them shut up. In fact, we'll put people in there to help you make them shut up. That's it. It sounds serious, but it is a big deal. You can't have a debate if everybody's interrupting each other and talking and behaving like children. What do you get out of it? It's theatrics. This is politics. It's
You
about
get
people's
Congress.
lives. It's about economics. It's a serious damn thing. Put a damn adult in charge. That's what you need. Otherwise,
But you
it's pointless.
But they
Point.
don't
Did you see
because
the
they don't read. And like I said, the article I read last night by a bunch of economists and investment banks that said if either one gets in, America's screwed regardless because of what they're going to do with tariffs and what they're going to do with this and what they're going to do with that. And that's the problem. No one's saying to them, hey, listen, numbnuts, neither numbnuts. So you want to put tariffs on Chinese products. Now, literally 90% of the shit that's in America is from China. So you want to basically increase the cost of what it costs an American to live because we have no manufacturing here. We have no this. So you're going to make it more expensive for an American. Biden's doing it and Trump's doing it. Trump's going to do it more drastically. They're saying if Trump does it, it looks more like a depression. If Biden keeps doing it, it's a recession. Either way is bad because we're still in a recession from a depression, if you will, from 2008, which no one wants to talk about, which I find hysterical. Anyway, so it's just going to make where we are worse. So the problem then is no one's going to say that. And number two, neither of them are that smart to know it. And number three, all they do on either side of the party, they have a bunch of yes people in the elephants. They have a bunch of yes people that are donkeys. No one says, hey, listen, you're an idiot. Why are you doing this? Like, it doesn't do anything. Oh, it sounds great. Like, oh, boom, boom, boom. Great. Well, what about these people? You're not helping them. Like, AI realistically is taking jobs away. People are losing their jobs. People can't afford to do this. People can't afford to do that. What are you going to do that? And don't talk about the middle class and the rich. Nobody gives a fuck about them. What are you going to do with the poor people? What are you going to do with the people that actually need help? Because that's where your civil war is going to start. Because during COVID, if you remember, people were robbing banks and people were going into Targets and taking out like truckloads of shit and no one's stopping them. After this election, it's going to get worse because they're not helping anybody. I read in the Financial Times they want to do a billionaire tax. Who gives a shit? And it doesn't. If you don't trickle the money down, nothing happens. It's like, why we pay taxes for? What? What am I paying tax for? What are you doing for me? Nothing. There's going to be no Social Security. There's no Medicare. I can go through a list of what we don't have. What do you? Why am I giving you money? Oh, I know.
Steve.
You have the same thing. Every country does. But that's my point. You take money from the people. What are you doing for them? And don't tell me you're giving me security. No, you're not. You're just industrial military complex is making a shitload of money. What are you doing for me as an American citizen and the other 300 million that pay tax? What are you doing for us?
That's why people are queuing up behind the Orange Man, of course, because he's a populist. He's got all the right words to say. And he comes across as someone who's strong and has an opinion and can get stuff done.
I'll run for president then. I'm strong. I have an opinion. I actually have IQ points. And I actually read and know what's going on in the world. So I'm smarter than the both idiots. And I'm younger. So there you go. I can run for president.
Yeah, probably considerably poorer. That's the thing, you see. So you need a lot of money. That's the other thing.
All right. So really what we don't have, we just need someone with cojones, and there's no one with those right now.
We do. They can come on our show. We do a debate on our show.
Yeah. Arnie had. Do you remember Arnie had cojones? He could have done it, but he's not an American.
Are you trying to get me to do Arnie? Is that what you're doing?
No.
You are. You're baiting me.
Well, I mean, I could say Queen Elizabeth had cojones, but she's dead. So
she did though.
Yeah, but
she had cojones. Yes, Queen Elizabeth did. Yes, she had the cojones, my friend.
So did Maggie Thatcher.
Maggie, you love the Maggie. Love the Maggie.
No. Margaret Thatcher, the milk snatcher. No, thank you.
Hey, whoa! Don't be talking about people.
She had more balls than most of the people there now.
Well,
whether you like her or not,
Iron Lady. I like Maggie.
Yeah.
I like the Maggie.
Whether or not you liked her or not, she sold everything that we all owned, and then smiled at us. Said, "Here you go. You owned this yesterday, but I'll sell it to you today." Oh, thank you very much.
No comment.
No comments. All right. Well, listen. Our esteemed guest here, Mr. Vega, has to go. He's a very important date. Apparently, a wristwatch and a rabbit in Alice in Wonderland.
He's late. He's late for a very important
date. Yes, it's because we're looking at the clock, so we have to let him go soon. So don't forget to subscribe and like. We're here every Sunday. And if we offended you, Good.
Good.
Go write a congressman or go tell a senator. Leave your comments in the box. If you're a political savvy person or someone famous and you want to come on the show and we'd love to have discourse with us, we would love that. And if you're from the British Parliament, please come on the show because you're the best comedy going for the last 200 years. I love it. I love the British Parliament. I'm telling you, to this day, I watch it because I love when you go, my good friend lightly roared molester of the sheep. And I'm like, I love this. And he'd say it with a smile, and the guy goes up, and I'd like to thank my friend who had sex with a hooker last night. And they just keep going, and I love it. I love those guys. And they don't beat each other up. They don't do this. They don't do that. It's verbal jousting. So
and they're off
for them to come on.
to the pub afterwards, which is fantastic.
Yeah, after the pub, and then after that, after the bookies. So there you go.
Yeah, and to the hookers, and which is perfect.
Oh,
so
well,
I'll be in London soon, everybody.
Mostly small boys.
All right, stop that. So, Mr. Roll, as always, it's a pleasure to see you. And if you love him, you can catch him where in South Africa?
Hot 1027.
There you go. There you can catch him on 1027. You can catch us here every day. You see Mr. Vega every Sunday here on our channel. Don't forget to subscribe and like. If you don't want to look at our ugly mugs, you can catch us on the podcast. Wherever you get your podcast under Two Old Farts Making Noises. Cheers, everybody. David, take us home.
Thank you so much for listening to this Harold Woods, Rob Vega, whatever the hell he wants to call himself, fellow. You know, this podcast thing, it makes him feel very important, and he's a difficult fellow as it is to deal with. So thank you so much for putting up with him, and do take care.